Welcome back, viewers. Just as we introduced from the beginning, my name is Silas. Kiriinya. I'm a counseling psychologist. So we were discussing about family, and we have said very well we want to get it right from the beginning, because when there is error from the beginning, we know there will be error all the way and error to the end. And I was discussing about the definition that we are given by sociology, and I had gotten to a point where sociology is actually classifying, marriage into, I mean, family in terms of marriage into three types. And number one is what they call polyandrous kind of marriage. Now, polyandrous marriage basically means one partner having many other partners. So, for example, a man can get married to many women. Actually, no. That is the opposite of that. So when we talk of polyandrous, what we are talking about is a woman having many men as husbands. That's the correct definition. Now, you can imagine our children and growing up, our youth, and even we ourselves as well. We just learned that that is the only definition that we know. That marriage can be actually polyandrous. So as a woman, you can get married to many men. You can imagine what that means to the children who are born in that family. So every child belongs to different father. You can imagine the kind of that family, the kind of setup. But also at the same time, we know it's against the nature, it's against the Bible. And we won't be getting into that later on. The other definition is polygamous, which I think is known by many. It has been practiced by many cultures. And some people actually today say that, there's a lot of polygamy taking place. For example, what we call the mpango wa kando is just polygamous kind of a setup, only that maybe the mpango wa kando is hidden somehow. There is no dowry that has been paid for that, and all these other things. But these days, actually, men are going ahead and even paying the dowry for the mpango wa kando, but secretly, so that the legitimate wife doesn't know exactly what is taking place. But here is where a man marries many wives, and we also know that that concept is against what is biblical, and I will continue to share that later on. Then the other definition is monogamous. Sociology will see marriage as a monogamous, meaning that one man marries one woman. But also at the same time, that concept has been changed, especially with the postmodern kind of thoughts. They are coming to a point that polygamous and monogamous can mean a man marrying a man, or a woman marrying a woman. And therefore, these are concepts that we need to go deeper and deeper and clarify about them. We also have what we call the postmodern anthropology, or what anthropologists define as marriage to be and family to be. So, for example, we'll pick one person called Stacy, and Stacy defines family as is an ideological symbolic contract. Ideological symbolic contract. So, that means basically is simple, that marriage or family is an idea. It is an idea. There's nothing in reality as in marriage, as family. It's just an idea that you have, that I have, that whoever has. And your idea can be as good as my idea. And so it doesn't matter from what school of thought, as long as you just conceive it as an idea. Then the second thing that she's talking about is symbolic. That means it's not real. It's a representation. As in the idea you have in mind is a representation of a reality. So I could have one idea, you could be having another idea, but all these are symbols. So that means I can come with my idea, my symbol of what marriage is. You can come with your idea, with your symbol of what marriage is. It's basically a contract. She continues and says that family changes over time, and it is subject to political processes. Now, that definition is serious. It is serious. Because what it's saying is, we cannot have a traditional family. What we have is family that keeps on changing. Today, we can have a family setup of a man and a woman marrying and getting children if God blesses them. But also at the same time, we can have a man marrying a man, a woman marrying a woman. But also we can have, because it's just an idea and symbolic, it doesn't represent any reality. We can also have a man marrying a dog, and we can also have a cow probably and something else. So you can imagine this very interesting concept that are being brought about by anthropology. And so Stacy says also it can be subject to political processes. So that means if today we woke up and our president said clearly, or our parliament said clearly that every man will marry 5 wives, because in this society the number of the ratio of men to women is incongruent, or is like 1 to 5. That means one man to five wives. So you can imagine, if this is the definition that we are following, what it will mean is that basically that we will change our mindset, and every man will be forced to marry 5 wives, or every wife will be forced to marry 5 men. So you can imagine if it is actually subject to political processes. So it means it is our politicians who will decide what a family becomes. So if I'm imagining of a situation where a political leader comes into power who actually doesn't care about family, I don't know what will happen to our families. I really do not know. We have seen some countries at the moment, whereby when they get a baby girl, they encourage actually to either abort or kill that baby immediately after birth. So basically, because they have subjected their family into under political processes. And so whatever the politician will say, that is exactly what we do. And that is really, really wrong. Now, with them, we cannot talk about decline but transformation. So what they mean is, anthropologists, they mean actually when we talk about family, we can not say that family has declined. We can only say that family has been transformed. So that means we have come from the traditional setup or that godly family. Now we have been transformed into other aspects, not necessarily saying that the family has declined, that we are not getting back to what was there before. We only focus on problems of childbearing and not what specific family structures they are raised in or under. Now, this is also a serious implication here, that we cannot focus on where the children are born. We cannot focus on the kind of parents or kind of parenting that is there. We cannot focus on really the setup, whether it is a man and a man, a woman and a woman. It doesn't matter. What is important is we focus on the needs of the children. I mean, it looks like a good concept, but to me, when I look at it, it's a serious attack on what is called the traditional family. And we'll continue with that later on. Now, we'll touch also on the contemporary definition of what family is, and I have picked on U.S. Census Bureau. Now, this is the definition U.S. Census Bureau give to a family. They say family consists of 2 or more people. 2 or more people. So it doesn't matter who, but just 2 or more people, one of whom is the householder. So that means this family, if I am the owner of this family, so I can have all that I want in this family, and all that will be, the household will be just part of my family. And then it continues that one of whom, related by birth, marriage, or adoption, and residing in the same house unit. So that is the concept that U.S. Census Bureau give. But also they continue and say, so the concept of love and nurturance is what is emphasized. So as long as you're in that family together, wherever you come from, I own the family, so I can have 10 wives in this family, and I can have 5 husbands. As long as I own the family, that is the key thing. And then the focus is, are we nurturing love, or are we also nurturing, taking care of each other, and are we loving each other? So that concept looks good. It looks very appealing. It looks like this is really what you want in every family. There is love and there's nurturance. But the problem is, they go ahead and say that actually you can form a family on basis of love and nurturance and nothing else. So whoever loves you, you can have them, and you make a family. And the same thing with marriage as well. You can go and marry a child. As long as you love this child and you want to show nurturance to this child, then that is fine. If the dog cares for you, if you care for the dog, you can actually come together and get married. And I think recently we have seen those trends happening in some other parts of the country. The other day, I don't know how to define it, but I saw a lady who married herself. You know, I mean, what she had done is that she had made a very good dress. One side it and it showed this is it was showing this is a man's outfit, and then this other side was a woman's outfit, and she married herself, and there was even a ceremony. I don't know what else took place during that moment, but I'm trying to imagine that there are so many concepts that are actually coming up to define family. Now, lastly, in terms of the definitions that I'm giving, before I get into the biblical, I will touch on psychology, where I think I'm an authority in this area. But what I found was surprising, that actually in psychology, family isn't always about blood relationships, but anything, I mean, any person can be your family, can be it could be your friend, it could be your church members, it could be your friends, it could be your close workmates, like anyone really can come into one space and become a family. Of course, I know we in psychologists they say this because they focus more on support, on emotional nurturance, on emotional support. And so, for example, like when we are doing therapy for people who are in drug addiction, we always focus on the support system. And some of them, they don't have a family. So we focus on any other person who is around, and we think that that's their family. And so if you define family that way, we also get into crisis. Because the thing is, I'll go wherever, and wherever I find, whatever people I find, that becomes my family. So it's like we are trying to run away. There's no problem in getting people and bring them so close and becoming part of you. But the problem is we are running away from what is the original definition of what marriage is. And that is what I would want to us to get back once we come back from the break. We'll be able to touch on now the biblical concept, and then go ahead and touch also on what the Catechism of the Catholic Church says, what the Church says, and what the Saint says, and we'll conclude at that point when we get there.